Hi, Carl.
Great. Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, good to be with you this morning. So I know, we've obviously already had a bit of a chat, but this is our kind of recorded interview time.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the first thing that kind of we've been doing in these chats, this is my third one now. I'm starting to feel like a bit of a veteran, but maybe a bit early to say that. But wanted to first of all say thank you for being willing to come and talk with me about your experience of mental health and what you'd like to kind of share and offer to others. But I wonder if just quickly you want to introduce yourself, just to say, because people may be watching this who haven't met you, don't know you, and just say a little bit about who you are and who you are at Spirit Energy.
Yeah. I'm Carl Henson. I work at the Barrow onshore terminals. I'm control and instrument technician. I work on the analytical equipment. I'm also a site um, RPS, which is radiation protection supervisor, and a safety rep at the terminals as well.
Yeah, and you also mentioned to me yesterday you're part of the mental health support kind of system
I am,
at
yes,
Spirit
part of
Energy too.
the network team, yeah, and the mental health support side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that first, really, but yeah.
No, no, just to see. I wanted to mention that because I thought it was great when you told me about the stuff that you do yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
and so, uh, if anybody who hasn't watched the other two interviews that I've done with your colleagues, my name's Ben Graham. I am the head of coaching and coaching operations at Sanctus. Um, and at the minute, I'm kind of moonlighting as an interviewer for some of you and your colleagues at Spirit Energy, talking about mental health stories and experiences of mental health and the importance of mental health support. Um,
Great.
so, so Carl, like you said, we've talked about your story, and you shared some, kind of what brought you to want to talk about your experiences of mental health and some difficult experiences yesterday. I wonder if you would just like start at the beginning and say a bit about tell your story.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Stemmed probably going back 18 plus years back. I was racing motocross at the time, quite heavily into the sport, and a friend of mine, which I didn't mention this yesterday, but a friend of mine got diagnosed with cancer, and he died
Oh,
of, eventually succumbed to the disease and died from it quite quickly, really. And I think
oh,
I kind of think, thinking back, something in the back of my head just there, and uh, not long after I got an injury from playing five-a-side football, which is quite a severe groin strain, and it just didn't go away. It just kept niggling away there, and I went from it being an injury to, is there something more? And I think that seed then started to manifest itself that there may be something more wrong with me, and I think this is where eventually turned into acute anxiety for me was there was something wrong with me, and it kind of snowballed from that point. I was during that period of time, the job that I had was I was forced into a contracting basis really. So I was going away to work in the UK, different spots, but taken away from my home, family, and friends.
yeah,
All while this was going on as well in the background, and then it went from I had stomach problems. Went to the doctor for that. Blood tests going left, right, and centre, all coming back, no issues. But still, in the back of my head, there's something wrong. There's something badly wrong here. Then it went into constant headaches, foggy, couldn't concentrate, panic attacks. Uh, and then during this stage, a working away job come around, and the money at the time was, there's nothing else about. It's too good to miss. I took the opportunity and I went to work right up in the mountains in the middle of Turkey. Um,
wow,
I was 5 days away from getting home if I needed to get home. Basically, that
mm,
was the logistics of it all. Was it would have took a long time for me to get home, and that sort of like compounded the effects, and it rapidly snowballed from there to the point where it was getting very dark and a place I didn't want
mm,
to be. I literally thought I wasn't going to get up in the morning. If I fell asleep, I was never going to wake up. That was the point.
oh,
I managed to come home on one shift and I thought, that's it. I don't need to go back. I don't need to put myself in that situation again. I go to the doctor. We do some more tests in the period that I'm home, more blood tests. Everything's coming back. I've gone to a specialist at this point because I was having balance issues. I had earache all the time, pain in my ear. If you get a loud bang, you get that fuzzy, that ringing in your ears. Tinnitus, is it? Tinnitus, something like that, I think it's called. I had that, and it was just brought on by the stress. Went to a hearing specialist, which I'd had booked in. He said everything was fine. Time to go back to the job. Mistakenly, I went back, so I spent another couple of months in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, I was in a bad way. I'd spoke to the medic on site. He's nothing really could do for me. I really struggled through that. In a really, really bad place, impending doom all the time, panic attacks. I would say during this stage, nobody knew I was suffering. I was able to hide that so well from everybody, and I don't know how I managed to do it.
I was just going to ask, how? Do you have a sense of?
I think while I was away, it was because there was only very, very few English-speaking people on the job, and I didn't really know them before I got there, so they just took me as I was, a quiet, didn't really speak much, which was not me at all. I'm an outgoing person. I like to communicate, normally, but they didn't know any different. So it was, but back at home, I still managed to pass myself off as being that person. But when I was away from everybody, all these feelings started to flood back in. It was a horrible, horrible place to be. And then long and short of it was, after suffering for quite a number of years, I would say probably just over 3, I just couldn't take it anymore. I broke down in front of the girlfriend, at the time, wife now. I said, there's just something wrong with me. I'm just broken. It's just, I need help, sort of thing. And then it was, go to the GP. The GP said, there's nothing else I can do now and really need to pass you on to an expert. And I said, what do you mean an expert? And he said, a mental health expert. And I was like, no, I can't do that. Because if I go down that route, I'm going to be damaged goods. I won't be able to get a job anywhere. I don't want to be known as weak, this, that, and the other. I don't want the help. So even though I really did want the help, I think the fear of not being, I also didn't. It was the fear there and the stigma attached to a mental health issue that I didn't want any part of. Because back then, not like it is now, which we'll come on to later, there was a big stigma about mental health in young, any male. Males don't suffer from mental health, do they? And we're big, strong, guys. We don't suffer from that.
Right.
Yes, we do, big time, and we do need the help. And eventually, I took the help. I went for the meeting.
What made the difference?
And that was the wife, the girlfriend now, which is wife then. Once I actually, broke down and explained where I was at, then my family got, I'd speak to my family and friends about it. I didn't really want to, but it came out. And then my dad had the same issue, didn't know about it. That was a massive eye-opener to me. He said, son, if you'd have come and told me, I've had a similar issues myself in the past. A close friend also came to us, said, you should have come and said something. I've had issues in the past. So there's 2 people that were so close to me at the time that could have helped, but didn't know any different. And I could have had help so much earlier and stopped getting into that really bad place if I'd asked for help. And once that help did come, I had the help from the specialist that the GP put me onto, so I'm thankful for that. Father, thankful for that, who's always been there to support me in everything anyway, but then obviously supported me in a way I didn't think that we'd be able to. And one of my friends was, similar issue. I didn't know that he had it. He obviously didn't tell anybody until it come to the time to help me. And then basically from that it was over like a week period. The light that was never at the end of the tunnel, I could see that distant flicker of light to say, there may be a way out of this and there's a bit of help and support around. And I would say from 3.5 years of, spiraling into really, really bad mental torment where I thought I wasn't going to wake up. I thought that's it. I'd wrote letters to my family and friends while I was away, saying sorry that I've not come home. I'm broken. I didn't, this, that, and the other. I mean, not nice, not place to be.
No.
To within a month, really making leaps, bounds, and gains into to getting where I am today.
Yeah. So
So yeah,
in a little bit, we could come on to actually, what you experienced through
yep,
working with a mental health professional for a period of time. But I'm kind of,
yep,
I think I told you yesterday how struck I was at for 3.5 years, how long you were holding on.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm wondering what it was like to, particularly to have that conversation with your father, with your friend. It would like to hear
Yeah,
from them. I've experienced some of this too. You're not.
yeah.
They're
It's
all,
just
what's that
you
like for
can't
you?
believe how much of a weight that was lifted off your shoulders. It was a huge weight to lift off your shoulders to think,
Mm,
somebody so close has been through that and they're still there. And then my
yeah,
thought was I wasn't going to be around. They're
yeah,
still there. They're still fit. They're still healthy.
mm,
Um, it was just a massive relief.
mm,
I didn't go back to the doctors from that point on for any issues that I had, because I'll tell you, every time that I came home, I was in the GP surgery day
mm,
after day after day. This is wrong with me. If it's not that, this is wrong with me. If it's not that, this is wrong with me. Find something wrong because I thought I was dying, and
yeah.
obviously I wasn't. Uh, yeah, just a
It's
huge relief, and then the speed of recovery from that point on, when the help was there, you know, massively supported from professional help. But once I'd actually admitted there was an issue, family and friends help, everything assisted in lifting that weight off the shoulders. And yeah, I did. I eventually I took one trip away from that job, and I actually went back to that job um, after a period of time, the one that was in Turkey, and they didn't know this person that had turned back up. It's
right.
they didn't.
Mm,
It's a different guy turned up to site. Happy, smiling, laughing, joking. I mean, I don't get. I was still in the early days of recovery at that point, but a totally different person. It's
mm,
being away, knowing that family and friends, knowing the situation I were in, were there as support on the end of the phone if needed, because that phone was never used in the other trips. I was,
yeah.
it was,
I mean, as you tell the story today, I had a similar feeling yesterday, but I'm noticing it again today. The sense of isolation in the early part of the story, being on your own,
yes,
and then how suddenly that changed, and that you were part. My sense is were connected again to the
yeah,
people around you
yeah,
in your life, to yourself.
yeah. Yeah, and actually, I would say there was the few Brits that were on the job when I went back. Uh, you know, they sympathised with the situation. They never actually admitted that they'd had issues themselves,
Mm,
but the amount of sympathy that come my way when I did say would suggest that they did have issues themselves in the past, and
sure.
you know,
Yeah.
I may be something a big strong contractor's not going to say to another contractor, but yeah, I kind of had the inkling that they may have had issues in the past. But
Yeah.
yeah, being away so far and so distant in those early times, um, for me, it was probably the wrong choice to take the job in the situation I was in, but I did it anyway, and that's water under the bridge.
Mhm.
But yeah, being so far away from family and friends and people that contractors in this industry, oil and gas industry, we all travel all over the
Yeah.
world. We're always far away from family and friends. People that take up the offshore roles of jobs, they do it for year and year off, year and year off. It's they're away from family and friends for long periods of time, and I sympathise with them. I know what it could be like. I think we'll come on to this later. The help and support that we could offer here
Right.
is greatly appreciated. It really works. We just need to talk about it. We just need
Yeah.
to open up. Yeah.
So I wanted to spend a little bit of time on that and invite you to say a bit more
Yep. Yeah.
because in your story and you named it really clearly there when your doctor said, look, I think you might need a specialist type of help,
Yep. Yeah.
and you had two reactions. One was I need the help, and then there was all the other thoughts
Yeah.
around
I,
I
I
don't
yeah.
want it. I'm broken, something's wrong, I'm going to be labelled, I'm not going to get
Yeah.
a job, it's going to impact me professionally. I wonder if
Yeah.
what's your sense of where those beliefs or feelings come from, or your just your sense of that? You know, because you kind of
It
already
was
talked as
just,
well about men and how we can struggle to ask for help and
yeah.
and
Yeah, I
being
think for sure.
positions.
I think back then, not like it is today. I think it's a lot more open today. It's a lot more openly spoken about today, mental health issues, than it was back then. Yeah, I knew I needed the help. I knew I desperately needed the help, but I was so afraid of getting that tarred with that brush that, damaged goods, or, you wouldn't want him on the job because, lunatic or loony or whatever. And
Right.
I just didn't want that. The fear of that was almost as powerful as as the uh, the, the horrible situation I was in. And there was a little bit of a battle going on there of should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I. It should never have been a battle. It should have been, doesn't matter what the outcome is, get the help that was required, get the help that was needed. But yes, there certainly was back then. I would say that now, I've never really took my finger off the mental health pulse since that period of, since I've recovered and trying to help others. Um, I mean, I'm no professional in mental health, but I've had experiences myself, and I would certainly suggest that to anybody. They could come and have a chat with me, and I would point them in the right direction of the GP. I mean, that's where I started. Go and get
Yeah.
some professional help.
Yeah.
That's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of tarred with the wrong, the bad brush. I was afraid of not getting the job. I shouldn't have been, you know.
Sure.
And when I did ask for help, it was fantastic. It was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, I'm really struck by the almost the paradox in what you're saying of when you were really suffering with those things,
Mm.
you had a sense of if I share this, if I let people know, they won't want me around.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you were kind of on your own, not wanting to be isolated, but fearing that if you kind of connect or
Exactly.
share
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
it's going maybe
Ha-
going to be even worse.
Yeah. I mean, I during that period, I could never look further than a few days ahead, because I didn't think there was any more than a few days ahead. But if I was to recover, I had to look at the long term. But the paradox there was there would be no long term if I got tarred with this brush.
Yeah.
So, what do you do? There was a battle there. There was another mental battle, I'd say, on the side of that is, I mean, what do you do? How do we do it?
Yeah.
But there was, that mental battle should never have come into the head because there was no issue. There never is an
Yeah.
issue regarding mental health. You know, it's you just needed to talk about it, and the recovery, like I said before, was so fast once that help came. Once I opened up and requested, asked for the help, 3 years. It should never have been 3.5 years. Recovery was hugely. It was so quick. The symptoms started to dissipate so quickly. The headaches just went away. The stomach cramps, the pain, the IBS that I got drifted away. The ear pain, the tinnitus, the ringing in the ears drifted away. That was there one night. I woke up the next morning. It had gone, that tinnitus, and it never came back.
Yeah.
It was just like a wow moment to me that we are. And then once I started to realize that I was recovering, it snowballed. Like the spiral down came really quick. The recovery came really quick.
Right.
That symptom's gone. That symptom's gone.
So
I'm getting
I'd
better.
like
I'm getting
to.
better. So,
So
all right.
before we paused, you were talking about how
Yep.
once you started, once you'd reached out, once you'd kind of had a bit more support from friends, family, and started working with somebody, there was like you said a snowball effect, and
Yeah. Yeah.
sounds
Yep.
really important. The initial sharing with people, sharing with friends and family members what was going on. But I wonder if you also want to say a little bit about what you actually did, the kind of help that the professional part of the help,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
one part, but an important part.
Yeah, yeah. Initially, I went to see the specialist doctor again. Yeah, kind of reluctantly went into the office, and the first sort of, I think the first sort of meeting was for him to find out exactly what sort of mental issue that was I had. So the general questions were, do I want to hurt myself? Do I want to end my life? And immediately it was, whoa, no, it's completely the opposite. I want to live. I want to be,
Yeah.
I want a full life. I mean, during this period when the help come, which I didn't mention yesterday, marriage has come along, and my first child is on the way.
Oh,
So now
wow.
I've got more of a, I need to be around. I've got a future. I've got a meaning. I've got a purpose. I need to look after a child coming into the world, sort of thing. A bit more mental stress, but a bit more need to get out of this. I need to recover from this. And that was again. This is all coming flooding back to me now. These little bits that I didn't mention yesterday. It was another
Sure.
emphasis. Is yes, this is why I need the help. This is why I need it. It was another trigger to push on and and ask for the mental health. But going back to the mental health specialist, second sort of meeting. We went through all the symptoms that I had, and obviously he'd spoken to my GP, so the GP had, they professionally, he'd said that what I had, everything's clear, blood test results clear, stomach scans, MRIs that I had, all this information was there proving that these feelings and symptoms that I had, that I was not ill in any of these situations. So it was sort of a discussion to. He gave me a series of questions to ask myself. It can't be this because of this. You can't be ill with this because of this. You wouldn't be sitting here now if this was the issue. And so it was a series of questions to always ask myself and repeatedly ask myself, and I had the right answer for it, which was supporting the fact that I wasn't ill in any way. And that I've spoken then with the specialist to say, family and friends have now become involved. I've opened up to them, and there was their two-way communication there. So that was brought into the sessions. Wife at the time came along to third, fourth, and final. Well, girlfriend at the time, wife, just wife at the time, came to the fourth session, and sat down, and we had a discussion there. And I think that was over a month period. He could see the rapid sort of effect of me getting better and better. So he basically said, look, I'm available on the phone now from this point on, but I don't really think you need to come in and see me again, sort of thing. He was very surprised at how quick, from where I was on the first day, shadow of the man that I was on the fourth visit. I was a different person, so he was really happy with that. I spoke to him numerous times when in the following months where I had a bit of a setback where, I genuinely did have, bad headache, or I genuinely did have bad cold, which gave me a bad chest, but being so close to a point where, that was going to kill me 6 months before. I did have a bit of a few stumbles, but it was ask myself the questions, repeat the information that he'd give me, give him a quick phone call, bit of help support from there. Wife, bit of help and support there because she knew the situation, and then those things just dissipated over time to the point where I'm the guy that I am today. I found triathlon, fitness was a huge role in making myself mentally feel better, mental well-being. The fitness side of it was massive. Eating the right diet, massive. Looking after yourself, massive improvement. Talking to people, massive improvement. So the triathlon now is my race sort of distance, my race times, should we say. If I do a 70.3 race, this, to anybody who doesn't know, triathlon is an event where you swim, you bike, and you run. My distances are 70.3 and 140.6. So that's 70.3 miles and 140.6 miles is what I'd race total distance. 70.3 would be.
We talked about this
a 1
yesterday, and I was very impressed.
That's right. Yeah, 1.2 mile sea swim generally, followed by a 56-mile bike, followed by a half marathon run is the 70.3.
Wow.
And then the 140.6 is a 2.4 mile swim, followed by a 112-mile bike, followed by a marathon, 26 miles.
Otherwise known as an Ironman, I believe, right?
Otherwise known as an Ironman, yeah. That's it. In fact, that's what I'm on today was a bit of an Ironman shirt on. So,
it's like a Superman.
It is, yeah. Well, that's how it feels, to be fair. And the mental strength to take a positive from the really bad situation, mentally now, when I go into one of these events, I've suffered 3.5 years of serious mental torment. a 6-hour race or a 12-hour race, mentally for me, I can do it. I can just switch off. I've suffered 3.5 years. What's 15 hours? And to me, mentally, that's a huge, massive thing for racing endurance events. Ultra events, 50-mile runs and stuff. You can mentally beat the situation and turn off the pain, and when it gets to the later stages there is pain, and you do go into some dark places in these events where you're starting to run out of energy, and you need to push, and maybe you're only 10 miles into 26-mile run and 10 hours into the event at this point. Then you go to some dark places. But I've been to darker, I've been to much darker places than that. So it's made me strong mentally within the sport that I now pursue. So I'm thankful for that side of it. Don't get me wrong, I'd never, ever want anybody to go to where I've gone to get to that stage. But, I do have a positive out of it. So.
And we learn from our experiences,
Yeah,
whatever
it's
they
made
are.
me a stronger person. Yeah, made me a much stronger person mentally. It's made me a much more laid back person. I was laid back in the first place, but even more so now. I mean, that laid back, I probably need casters on me, to not make me lay back too far. But yeah, I'm a laid back person now, easygoing. I think anybody that works with me, that knows me, will know the same. I'm an easygoing guy.
That sounds like such a big difference from where you were those years
Oh,
ago.
huge, huge.
And I really hear. I think we talked about this yesterday. The reassurance of learning how to reassure yourself through thinking, which can be a big support for people. The other thing that I heard you mention that I kind of want to highlight was something that I think might be quite important, because you talked about having some dark thoughts, some thoughts of, if I go to sleep, am I going to wake up? Am I going to make it? And sometimes, and like you said, when you went to see somebody at the first session, he asked you about, do you have intent to hurt yourself, or, like, really, where are you? And I think that's a really helpful thing to draw out, which is that, when we're really, really anxious, we can have those kind of thoughts of catastrophe, impending doom, thoughts about dying. And it doesn't actually mean that we are in a place where we want to end our lives or do something very dangerous.
Definitely not. No.
In fact, it could be
completely
just the opposite.
Yeah, it was for me. It's definitely the opposite. So.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because those thoughts in themselves can be, as you probably know, can be frightening when we start to have them.
Yeah. I think it is. I think mental health is such a wide spectrum. You can have so many different people where they do have those thoughts. I was completely the opposite. There's a huge spectrum in mental health. It just doesn't cover acute anxiety, which I had. There's many different avenues, but it's all under the same umbrella. Asking for help is where for me, as I say on my Yammer posts always, it's good to talk, and that's exactly what it is. You talk about it, the help's there. Support teams are there. Yourself, Sanctus, now just available to second-party contractors through Spirit Energy as well. It's huge. So that's opened your help and support up to a much wider field within Spirit Energy, which I'm hugely thankful for. Because I mean, that's me. I'm a second-party contractor. So
we're really happy to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic for everybody. They just need to book a session really and have a chat, and they can see now how easy the chat is. I've been to some bad places, but I'm really happy to have a chat here. I'm really happy to hopefully help somebody else out there. If you look, it's the support network's here. We just got to use it.
It sounds like that's one of the key things that maybe you took from your experience, was there was support there, and sometimes it's about risking a little bit and opening ourselves up to hearing from others who may have struggled, and allowing the support to come.
Really, that small little leap of faith to say, "You finally broken. I need the help." And so much help was there. And some places, obviously, I explained. A friend and father I didn't realise were in the same situation. Once they knew, the help and support was there instantly. And I've forever been there since. It's even now, years down the line, you'd always go, "How are you doing? How things? All right?" Yeah, they're fine. I know what they're asking, but it's fine. And it's been fine for a long, long time. So,
But it's great that there's that acknowledgement between you that there is more
yeah,
under the yeah, I'm fine.
yeah,
That you could feel
yeah,
they're actually asking, "How are you?" and you're saying, "Yeah, I'm
yeah,
okay."
yeah. That's good. Yeah,
Mm.
it is, and they don't need to ask it outright, word for word. But I know what they mean when they ask. We know the situation. Yeah, the help and
Sure.
support's always there, so that's great.
Mm. So we're coming towards the end of our time, uh,
Yeah,
Carl. I just wanted to you know make sure that we've got a minute or two left. Where if there's anything that you haven't
yeah,
touched on yet, or something that you feel is really important that you want to reiterate or underline or let people know. You said a lot about support, about reaching out.
yeah,
But just
yeah.
anything else you in particular want to say? Um,
No, I think we've pretty much covered it all. I would just like to put it out there that the help and support is there. Don't suffer in silence like I did. Don't go through that mental anguish or torment that I did. It's not a nice place to be. It's not nice place to go. The help and support is there. Through Spirit Energy, the network. Myself, I'm on the mental health support team. We can point you in the right direction. The Sanctus yourselves, that's another one that Spirit Energy's put out there to help us. It's a fantastic thing to do. It's not got the stigma it used to have at all. You're not going to be tarred with a brush to say that you're damaged goods. The help support's there, and it's much more open now than it was. It's much more easier now to discuss these things. Mental health's not the thing that these big strong men don't suffer from. Yes, we do, and we need the help. There's
yeah.
been too many people in the past. I've known people that have suffered and unfortunately ended their lives through mental health issues.
Mm.
Nobody needs to go through that. Nobody, Thankfully, my really bad time didn't pump me down that path, and I recovered really well through the help and professional help and support. And that's what we need to do. Just ask for help. That's what it is. The help's there. Just ask for it, and we can do something about it together. That's it.
Great.
Yeah,
Well, I want to say thank you, Carl, for sharing your story
no
and
problem. It's
talking
great. I
about
enjoyed it.
those things with us. We really
Yeah,
appreciate hearing from you and and the message that you're bringing to people to reach out, to find the
yeah,
support, to like you say, take that little leap of faith and maybe change
yeah.
their lives for the better.
Yeah, hopefully. If I can help just one person with this video, that'll be absolutely fantastic for me. That's exactly what I want. So, yeah, if just one person makes the call, one person asks for the help, that's a win for me. So that's great.